I'm going to tell you about all electric crossovers coming to the market this year, so let's get started. Acura ZDX. Now, much like its parent company Honda, it is a little late to the electric car revolution, and by a little I mean a lot, but this is not a bad offering right here. About 325 miles, that's what Acura is promising, which is pretty decent. 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds, and the starting price a little hefty, between $60,000 and $70,000, but they will figure it out. It is coming to the US, but not likely to come to Europe. Okay, so for number 2, we got the Chevy Equinox EV is finally entering the market. The Chevy will continue making the gas version of the Equinox, and a lot of people are looking forward to this one because it is supposed to start at around $36,000 with over 300 miles of EPA range, 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. And if Chevy is able to keep that starting price, I think it's actually going to be pretty successful. The Honda Prologue is something that Honda definitely needs out there because they have already embarrassed themselves trying to come up with an electric car in Honda E, and that was a disaster. So this is their second take at it, and this one appears to be a pretty decent crossover with over 300 miles, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, and it looks pretty good. So depending on what price tag they're going to put on this EV, this should be at least a very moderate success. All right, let's get to number 4, which is the Volvo EX30. It's been available in Europe and China, and now it's coming to America in 2024 with some very decent specs of 275 miles, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. But what makes it all very impressive is the starting price of just $35,000. I gotta tell you, I've been very impressed with the Volvo brand overall and their EVs because of their modern design and the fact that their infotainment system is run on Android Automotive OS. That is a big perk. Unless you have an iPhone, then it's not really a big deal. All right, before we move on to the next one, a quick reminder that this video is brought to you by EnergyPal. Are you thinking about going solar but not sure what panels to get, whether or not to get a home battery, or how much all of this is going to cost? Well, EnergyPal will do all of that for you, and you will get a $500 gift card when your installation is complete if you use the link in the description of this video. Oh, and they even have this EV calculator that will tell you exactly what system to get so it can handle charging your EV all year around. That link is down there as well. All right, back to the list. The Alpine A290 Beta. Now, this is a new brand and it's coming to Europe in 2024. Unfortunately, we don't really know much about it except for the manufacturer cannot really make up its mind what it's actually going to be. They have described it as a compact sports car, an urban sports car, a multi-purpose sports vehicle, and a hatchback, depending on which marketing material you would look. So, very interesting, but at this point we're just gonna have to keep our eyes on it and see if it's actually going to come to reality. Moving on, the BMW iX2 is going electric. The gas version has been on the market for a little bit with over 220 miles. That's converted from the WLTP range, around $65,000 converted from euros, and 0 to 60 again converted from kilometers at around 5.6 seconds. Now, I can't say that this is very impressive, but it is a BMW, so there are probably going to be some sales, though I gotta tell you, I think this one will have a tough time competing with all crossover SUVs that are coming on the market and have been on the market for a while. The BYD Seal U. Now, don't confuse this one with the BYD Seal, which is a sedan, and we have plenty of them here in Thailand. This is a crossover. Now, it's got about 255 EPA equivalent miles, around $50,000 converted from euros, and it's been on the market in China for about half a year. Now, this is yet another vehicle that BYD will be offering in Europe, trying to compete with Tesla quite successfully, I might add. This would be their 15th electric vehicle on the market, and last year in 2023, BYD started making more electric cars than Tesla, and that is impressive. The Citroën EC3. Now, this model has been offered in a gas version for a while now in Europe, and the EV is going to be quite affordable at around 25,000 American dollars converted from euros, but for that, you're gonna have to deal with some unimpressive specs, which are 163 EPA equivalent miles and 0 to 60 in 11 seconds. So, this is a budget car, but you're not gonna get much for it. The Cupra Tavascan is essentially a little brother of the Volkswagen ID.5. The Cupra is one of the Volkswagen Group brands, so you can expect a lot of very similar specs as the Volkswagen ID.5, with about 340 miles of range, 5.6 seconds, that's 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. And this is going to be yet another Volkswagen Group EV on the market. Let's see how they do. It does look very interesting, and let's see if it can compete with its bigger brothers and sisters. All right, now we gotta talk about this one. The Ford Explorer EV is coming to Europe, but unfortunately not coming to the US, which is surprising. We don't know much about the specs, but we do know it's going to start at around 45,000 euros, which is a little under $50,000, depending on how strong the dollar is going to be in 2024. There is, of course, already a gas version of this car, and Ford will continue making it, but let's see if this EV does well enough in Europe for Ford to bring it back to America. The Honda eNY1. Not only this EV has a pretty bad name, but also pretty bad specs to go along with it. At only 130 EPA equivalent miles, 7.6 seconds, is there 0 to 60 specs, and yet it's going to be priced at $60,000 if you convert it from euros. I don't know who's going to be buying this. Honda has already embarrassed themselves with the Honda E that also had pretty bad specs and very high price, so I'm assuming this one will have similar fate. Now, this one does already have a gas-powered version, which is the Honda ZR-V, but I don't see how this one is going to be a success. The Peugeot E3008, there is already a gas-powered version, and we don't know much about the electric version except for the fact that it's going to have a very impressive range if they keep their promise at 435 miles. This is a pretty good looking car. It is not going to come to the US. I don't think anybody even knows about Peugeot in the US, so this is going to be a very welcomed addition to the crossover selection in Europe. All right, let's move on to the next one, and it is the Renault Scenic E-Tech. Now, this is the electric version of the gas-powered Scenic, and this one is not bad at all, with over 300 of EPA equivalent miles at only just above $50,000 converted from euros. We don't know much about the rest of the specs, but this does seem to be a pretty good addition to the crossover market that is being flooded, but yet this one will probably fit pretty nicely. The Smart number 3, and it looks like the third time is the charm, because I'm not a big fan of the Smart brand until now. This is actually a pretty good looking electric vehicle. It's priced very well at around 42 equivalent US dollars, 232 equivalent EPA miles, and 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. Of course, it's not coming to the US. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna do well if Smart decides to bring it to the US. It's already been out in China, and it's coming to Europe in 2024. I think it's gonna do very well. I think it's a looker, and I think it's finally taking Smart in the right Smart direction. All right, the next EV is the KG Mobility Taurus EVX. Now, I gotta tell you, I've never heard of this brand. This is a Korean brand, and this EV is already on the market in Korea. It's coming to Europe in 2024. Unfortunately, not coming to the US. We don't know much about the starting price or other specs, but it does look like it will have at around 269 miles, which is pretty decent, and it's a pretty decent looking crossover, so looking forward to that. The Audi Q6 e-tron, yet another electric Audi. I'm looking forward to this one. We don't know much about it, but it is supposed to hit both the US and European markets in 2024, but we do know that the range is going to be closer to 400 miles at around 373. Let's see how it does as the addition to the Audi electric vehicle family and the bigger Volkswagen Group. electric vehicle family. Moving on to the next one, and it is the Hyundai Ioniq 7. Now, Hyundai has done really well with electric cars, and specifically the Ioniq brand. This is going to be yet another success, I can tell you already, even though we don't know too much about the specs. The range is going to be over 300 miles. That's pretty much the only thing that we know, but it is coming to the US and Europe in 2024. Now, what you're looking at right now is the concept called 7 by Hyundai, but it looks like Ioniq 7 is going to be based on that. So expect the design to be very similar. The Mini Aceman, this is yet another mini electric car, and this one has a mini range at about 204 EPA equivalent miles. Unfortunately, we don't know anything else about the car, including the price. If you price it right, this could be a great electric choice. But if you price it too high, like Honda likes to do, this could be a disaster. It's coming to Europe and America and all over the world in 2024. And I gotta tell you, it's actually pretty good looking, don't you think? The Polestar 3, one of 3 new Polestars coming to the market this year. And I gotta tell you, the Polestar 2, to my surprise, has done very well. Obviously, it is a sub-brand of Volvo. It's got the infotainment system that's based on the Android Automotive OS, which I think is a huge perk. This one is going to have over 300 miles of range. The starting price is about $84,000, 0 to 60 in about 4.6 seconds. It's coming to the US, it's coming to Europe this year, and I can't even tell you whether or not it's going to do well because I've been wrong about this one. So I think it's safe to assume that it's going to do at least as well as the Polestar 2. The Polestar 4, along with the Polestar 3 and Polestar 5, all coming to the market this year. This one's got pretty decent specs, just like the rest of them, over 300 miles of range. It's going to start at around $60,000 and 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. As always, I'm going to mention this because the infotainment system is based on the Android Automotive OS, which I think is a huge perk, and of course, it is a sub-brand of Volvo. Coming to the US and Europe in 2024. The Range Rover is finally going electric, though I'm not really sure how serious they are about it because they didn't even bother come up with a cool name or any name except for the Range Rover Electric. As a matter of fact, I have to show you their hybrid version because they don't really have much of a video or the specs or the price for the electric version, even though they are saying they're coming to the US and Europe in 2024. Instead, they have, this video that mainly features the girl here, which I don't mind, but aren't we supposed to be talking about the car? All right, let me know which one you're rooting for, and if you want to know about all electric cars that are coming on the market this year, I've put all of them together in one video and you can check it out right here. All right, looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.